We're just going to be talking really quickly about this NBA slate. I will be in the air later during the live before lock, so not sure we're going to be having a show. I think Sheets is on his way home as well. We'll try to get something out to you guys, but I'm not sure what we're going to be able to do for live. But I will be monitoring the Discord even if it's from the air. So hope everybody did well at the NFL yesterday. Kind of disappointed it wasn't able to play. We got a lot of things. I felt like we got a lot of things right between Rhodey and I in the early part of the show. Certainly all the obvious plays came through. And if you could get the right pieces around there, it felt like it was a pretty winnable slate. So kind of disappointed not to be able to play. Excited to get back to the grind with you guys starting tomorrow. But I'm just going to quickly go through game by game the NBA tonight as a first look. And remember, obviously, everything is going to change because this is the NBA, and we will see 17 different changes before tonight's games, just as a almost guarantee. Good morning to you, Andy, as well. All right, let's get into it. Phoenix and Philadelphia at the moment, absolutely no interest in anything from Phoenix. Everybody seems to be priced appropriately. Don't like the matchup. Don't like the situation. If you wanted to talk to me into anything, it'd probably be KD, but really not interested in anything on that side of the ball. On the Philadelphia side, I still feel that Embiid is too cheap, assuming that he does play. Obviously, a lot of Q tags with Oubre and Lowry and whatnot. I feel like Embiid and Lowry are still too cheap. Remember, they played that blowout game on Friday night. If this game stays close, and it should be a pace up for them, and it's a great matchup. So I actually love Embiid and Paul George tonight. At 9,600, like, look, Embiid's been, not the best version of himself, to say the least, this year, but 9,600 is getting to be a little too ridiculous. And I think that I would actually almost consider making him a priority play. There's some other centers we're going to talk about, but really like Embiid and Paul George at 7,100, just way too cheap. These guys are having down years, but I feel like the pricing has gotten a little bit too low to where we have to take advantage of it. Portland and Detroit, Avdia has been getting a lot of the work, and I don't really know why they waited so long to sort of let him get more involved in this offense, especially for a team this bad. Love Avdia tonight, bordering on a core play for me. Actually, for right now, I'll just go ahead and set him there. And other than that, I think you could talk me into Simons. I think you could talk me into a little bit of Scoot, but not overwhelmingly in love with everything else. Everybody seems, if you wanted to talk me into Kamara, no problem with it, but Abdi is the only one I have serious interest in. It is a good matchup, so I don't mind if I get to one or two of these guys. Just a big slate, and I feel like there's other places I'd rather go. Detroit. All right, we have Asar Thompson, who let us down a little bit on, I believe it was Friday, but I'd go right back there at 4,600. He's questionable. Obviously, if he's out, things change, but really like Asar, and then love Kate Cunningham. With no Ivy, Cunningham's just been going completely nuts, really emerging, having a breakout year. Love Cunningham tonight, and Tobias Harris coming off a huge game. They didn't raise his price enough at 5,400. So all three of these guys, and again, I'm going to change my core a little bit later when we get a better idea of who's actually in and out. But as of right now, I really like all three of those guys in a good matchup against Portland tonight. Detroit's fighting this year. They're really, they've already won more games than they did last year. This is a team to look out for. There's a lot of Jimmy Butler rumors coming in too. Milwaukee and Toronto seems like a pretty obvious spot to take a shot on Giannis, depending on what kind of value we get. But it's really going to depend on that value. 11-3, probably a little bit too cheap for Giannis. But I have no issue with that play whatsoever. It's just it's really just a matter of how much value we end up with today. There is some value out there, but Giannis and then I already like Embiid as a spend up. Can you play both of them? Again, depends on how much value we end up seeing out there. And you do have some strong value with guys like Beef Stew. I forgot to mention Isaiah Stewart for Detroit. He's another one I was interested in as well. But we do have some value. I just think we need a little bit more to probably play both Embiid and Giannis. And right now, because Embiid's 2,000 cheaper, I'm leaning Embiid's direction. No issue with Podol, getting to be a little bit too cheap, but really not overwhelmingly interested in anything on the Toronto side. Podol could have a big game here, but again, not really trying to get heavily involved there. Orlando in New York. Cole Anthony back in his hometown. Look, Sheets and I would talk about this all the time because Sheets used to coach against him in AAU. Cole Anthony, when they absolutely need scoring, because basically everybody under the sun who's any good for Orlando is out, and somehow they still stay competitive. So Cole Anthony is going to look like a great play tonight. I'm not going to say this play doesn't have bust potential, but love Cole Anthony in the Garden. Wouldn't be surprising to me if he 10x this value. So really hard not to make him a core play. He's obviously going to, you start your cash game builds with him. But I really like Cole Anthony tonight. And even if they get blown out here, I just think he gets there so easily at 4,900. Also with massive upside on that. He's the kind of guy, sometimes we talk about fading chalk. And you fade chalk of, guys who are going to put up the 6X, the 5X type of numbers. this is a guy who could put up 10x and just you might absolutely need to have him to have any chance of even cashing in anything. So as of right now, obviously going to play Cole Anthony as a core play. Nothing from the Knicks stands out on its face. I have no problem with Karl Anthony Towns here, but it's just slow-paced matchup. If we're going to play him, I'd rather play Embiid a little bit cheaper in a more competitive game in a better spot with less, help around him. That's just where I'm at right now. If you wanted to argue Towns over Embiid, no issue with it. Just not going to do it myself tonight. Indiana and Brooklyn. Again, Halliburton's not getting owned, and I think you just take shots here. I feel like he's finding himself a little bit. He's been streaky all year. We've seen some massive performances. I liked him against the Heat the other night, and he just went completely ballistic. I think this is another spot where we should take advantage of his price tag and his low ownership. So really like Halliburton as a contrarian play, only 5% projected ownership. He's my favorite play here. The logical plays, Siakam and Turner, just because their prices are so cheap. I think I'd lean Siakam if I had to decide between the two. And Siakam is borderline a cash play, but Halliburton, absolutely love him for tournaments tonight. I want to be all over that. So that would be my favorite play in this game on the Indiana side. And as I mentioned before, D'Angelo Russell back in Brooklyn is just way too cheap. The usage is way too high. I think we absolutely have to play him as long as he starts. Until he gets to like 6,500, I think you kind of have to play him. It's just way too cheap for his role on a team that really only has one other shot creator, and he's not playing. So I don't know how you don't play D'Angelo Russell tonight. Sure, maybe even if what did he shoot? He was like 2 for 12 the other night. He still put up like a 7x. I don't know. It just seems way too hard for him to miss. I actually think his projection's a little conservative at 32. I would have him somewhere in the 36, 37 range. So I love Russell. He would probably be in every lineup I played tonight were I allowed to play, but I am in Mexico, so I am not. All right, Clippers in Minnesota. Clippers have been really, really feisty, and I am still not finding myself overly interested in anything on their side tonight. Everybody, if there was anything, I guess you talk me into James Harden. I just think there's better guys to spend up on. 8,900 though does seem like a very fair price, and be curious to see what the Clippers do with Kawhi back. They're obviously limiting his minutes, so we're not going to play Kawhi yet, but it won't be long till he's back in there, and probably post All-Star break you'll see him at normal minutes in the rotation. And the Clippers are probably going to be able to fight for that playoff spot, fight for that top 6 seed because of it. All right, moving over to Minnesota. Really nothing against this matchup. Clippers play slow. They actually play pretty good defense, which is kind of surprising when you look at some of the pieces. But if there was anybody, it'd be Anthony Edwards. I prefer Halliburton to Edwards at the same price, but not I wouldn't say no to any of these guys. If it would be anybody, I guess it'd be Naz Reid or Edwards, but nobody who stands out just on its face. San Antonio and Chicago, absolutely love Wemby tonight. I think he's going to smash. So Wemby and Embiid, I think, is more interesting to me than Giannis and Embiid. That's the way that I would go. And I really like Vassell in this matchup as well. I actually think these guys are bordering on core plays. Chris Paul is getting the ownership. Give me Vassell, give me Wembanyama. I really like both those plays tonight, and I would be well overweight those. Wemby's just going nuts. He's going to start putting up 70s, 80s like every night. I'm telling you. He's just a monster. We're seeing it happen. I'm going to actually do it. I'm probably going to keep marking him as a core play until he's more expensive than Giannis. And he's getting there already, but he is just those 100-point games are coming again soon. Lonzo Ball would be another one that I love in this matchup. My favorite run back. He's starting to get a few more minutes. What do we have him at minutes-wise? 23. If he's in the 24-minute range at 4,200, I think you kind of just got to play him. Not every night. Obviously, there's some different slates. But again, I have more core plays early in the day. I tend to whittle them down as the day goes on. As of right now, really like Lonzo Ball. Big fan of that play tonight. And Ball and Wemby from this game would probably be in if I had one build, I probably would play both those guys along with the Embiid and try to find the other value, with the Cole Anthonys. Can't probably do the beef stew, but we'll find. We'll have other value tonight. Trust me. Don't mind any of these plays from Dallas. I'm trying to figure out. It feels like we have to do more. I still don't mind the idea of taking shots on Hardy. We have Dinwiddie now at 6,500. No issue with it. I think that if I had to pick anybody, it'd be PJ Washington, probably my favorite. So I'm just going to put him in there. But it's tough because we should like a lot in a fast-paced game. With Kyrie and Luka out. For some reason, they're only like 4-point dogs. I think they get smoked here. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I think Memphis is going to beat the hell out of them. I think this game is going to be over in the third quarter. That's my take for this game. So because of that, I may be a little bit lower on the Memphis stuff. Laravia's looked great lately. Jalen Wells has had some big games, big moments. All of these guys, Laravia, Brandon Clark, Scottie Pippen Jr., Jalen Wells, Jaren Jackson, they all make sense to me. I just don't – I'm not going out of my way to get them. If I ended up with any of them, I'd be happy with it. I'd be good with it. But just not going out of my way to get them. Laravia is probably the closest one I would. So that's where I'm at tonight. Good luck to everybody. We'll hopefully be able to get somebody to do a live show, but I know Rhodey and Adam Perry don't play as much NBA. If I can talk one of them into it, or if they're around, maybe they can do it. But if not, we'll have one non-NBA show, probably the only time all year that we don't have one. I don't think we've had a night like that yet so far. But I'll be in transit to back home. Sheets will be in transit back home, and really look forward to getting back after the grind with y'all. Kind of miss seeing everybody, miss hanging out with everybody. Miss getting all my normal content up, and we'll be back at it starting tomorrow. So good luck to everybody today. Crush it, and give us a like, a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys hopefully at the top of the leaderboards and certainly the Discord a little bit later on. Good luck, everybody.